So, okay,
Some
you
people,
saw the Matt Slick thing, right? And you
yes,
were
I
saying you
did.
thought it was a bad attempt, something like that?
Yes, that was sort of a. I think that he really evaded his. He was really evading your question. I think he tried to like get a rescue. Like tried to rescue himself, like with this general idea of like Christ is all this and that. Like I thought it was a poor attempt, but I still like Matt. Like I'm not trying to insult him or anything, but I think he needs to research him more. That's all.
Right. What do you think he was wrong about?
I would say how or I would say his premises were begging the question. So I think that he just begged the question the whole time. So it was fallacious the way he did it, but not necessarily the conclusion. I think the conclusion was sound, but I just think his argumentation was really circular. So I think it was a vicious vicious circle in philosophy, which I think is or begging the question. That's the way I looked at it anyway.
Did you understand his criticism of internal versus external critique?
No, I didn't think. I don't think he justified that point at all.
Oh, wow. Geez, what do you think he got right?
The conclusion. I do think
Just
that.
the conclusion.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, when he was saying like you can't be a brain in a vat because the Bible says that we're put
Yeah.
into physical bodies, and I said, "Yep, that's the scenario where that occurs before you're put in the vat." I don't understand the allegation of external critique, right? Because that's what
Right.
happens in the scenario that I've outlined, right? For it to be an external critique, it has to be incompatible with the scenario which I outlined, right?
Right.
So
I agree. I think I think it was fallacious reasoning. But that's not to say that he couldn't reform his position or revise it and make it better. So I hope he does. I think it's better to have a more sound reasoning and sound argumentation for other people out there. But what did you think about my argumentation? I'd like to hear your critique on that.
well, I didn't really understand it. It seemed like you just quoted someone and you probably just Googled something about brain in a vat, and I don't even know if it really applies. Do you want to explain it to me
Yeah.
in a way which is accessible to anyone listening, perhaps in your own words?
Yes. I did do some research and with some different philosophers.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. Before you do that,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? What is it that you're disproving?
The idea that we're in the same conundrum as far as the mental experiment goes. We're not in the same conditions or metaphysical conditions.
Okay, that doesn't sound like my question.
Mm-hmm.
My question just is saying, is there a contradiction between two things? One, Christianity is true. Two, you're in the Matrix or a brain in the vat, whatever. We'll just call it the Matrix, right? That's all I ever said. It's not even an argument. I just simply asked a Christian, and I have been asking Christians. By the way, people are still talking about this till this very day in Clubhouse. All day they were talking about it. That's almost 2 weeks that Christians have been, for whatever reason, talking about this, and they seem to be extremely upset and have some sort of anxiety about it, discomfort, whatever you want to call it. They're still talking about it. I don't even see what the problem is. I told Matt Slick, I think that there's no contradiction between Christianity being true and someone like you, praise I am, being in the Matrix. So that's the question. So you're gonna say I don't think that Christianity could be true and I could be in the Matrix at the same time, right? That's what you're addressing?
Yes, and the reason is because I do think for metaphysical realism to be true, because this thought experiment, it assumes metaphysical realism, and
Okay,
if you don't know that or not,
what's
I don't.
metaphysical realism, praise? I don't know.
So metaphysical realism is the idea that everything in this reality is objectively real outside of our perception of it. It's like fundamental compared to us in our minds. It's external to us. It's called it's an externalist type of understanding. So it's externally objectively true. Like let's say
The
the vat.
external world is
Yeah.
like it's a fact that it has ontology, something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's ontologically fundamental or objective. Yes.
Okay, so not only I don't understand everything that you said in that short video, but praise. I want every single person. Imagine this. This is our goal. Every single person, Olive, Sparrow, that guy Jason, and however many viewers you have right now, I want every single person to understand every word that you say, right? So that means, can you make an attempt to make it as accessible as possible? Like if I were you, I would just say something like, instead of like metaphysical necessity, I would say the outside world is real.
Yeah. And that's what it assumes. The outside world is what's the best way to put this for people? I'm trying to dumb this down because it does need to be dumbed down for people who are really layman's to this. But so it is sort of a true, it's an absolute reality. I'll just put it that way. It's an absolute reality. Does that make it easier? Hopefully that kind of simplified it.
I don't understand the qualifier absolute, because reality, I think, is absolute, right? Reality is just what actually is the case. So when you say absolute reality, I don't understand. It's like saying absolute truth. What's true is just true, right?
Absolute means true in every possible world, that it is necessarily true, or it is necessary the case. It's absolute in every possible world.
Absolute in every possible world.
Yes.
You mean it's the case in every possible world?
Yes. So there's a world where it could not be the case.
Well, if what you're saying is that, let me see what you're saying, because I think what you're saying doesn't make sense already. Because if you're saying absolute reality means that it's necessarily the case in every possible world, then there are no possible worlds. There's just one world.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because God, well, I'm arguing from God, so I can say that God can actualize a different world, even though it might not be the primary world or the actualized world that we are in, right now, currently.
But you said absolute reality means necessary in every possible world. That means all possible worlds are the same. That means that there are no other possible worlds that could be actualized.
Well, no, I'm saying God is the metaphysical, or guys hate saying that. So he is the absolute itself, not the reality. So for this argument to work, you would need to say that this reality of the vat, the simulated reality, is absolute in every possible world. Because if we could discover, investigate that we were in the vat or in a simulated reality, it pretty much unravels and it defeats itself. So, and that's, I think, when you do,
if you discovered that you were in a vat, that would just mean that there's no contradiction between Christianity and you being a brain in a vat or in the Matrix, because you literally discovered that you were a brain in a vat or discovered that you were a Matrix. And I'm assuming that you believe Christianity is true, right?
Yes.
So you just
That's an
said that
interesting
it's
point.
not possible because of a scenario which you outlined where you discovered. Okay, let me just get this straight. Christianity being true and you being a brain in a vat isn't possible because you could discover that you are a brain in a vat and Christianity being true at the same time. Is that really what you just said?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, praise. I don't know that praise. That's not a contradiction. That's an affirmation.
Well, then it would be God actualizing that brain of vat. Then you would have to give that precondition, which I don't think. And you didn't give that precondition or that prerequisite, did you? When you did that challenge to the brain of vat challenge, you never said that God was the precondition, did you?
I said Christianity is true. I believe that Matt Slick, being a professional apologist of 40 years of the Masters of Divinity, thinks that Christianity with a Christian God is the prerequisite. Yeah, I think that was understood.
Well, no, I mean, like when you outlined this challenge, did you actually say like God is the presupposition of that vat world or simulated world, or did you say like we don't know if it had like I think that's the whole point. You were saying how do you know if you're living in God's world or a simulated world like a brain of vat?
That's false. That's absolutely false.
Okay.
I even outlined it.
Yeah.
Look, I told you at the very beginning of this interaction, there's only two things that we're dealing with. Christianity is true. Is there contradiction with that?
Okay.
And you're in the matrix. Praise I am. That's it. Now you saying, did you are in this scenario, is Christianity true? I mean, yeah, praise.
So that kind of makes no sense. Like, why would God put us in the matrix then? Like, because I just don't understand.
No. There's no. I didn't look. When I said that you praise are in the matrix, what you're just making wild assumptions. I didn't say God put you in the matrix. I didn't even say who put you in the matrix. It's just that you're in a matrix.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe I put you there. Maybe you're the only guy in the matrix, right?
So are you saying that God allowed it or something? Like, I don't understand the point. Like, so you're saying there's no contradiction, but I guess I'm trying to trying to press you a little bit. Like, what do you
You're like, trying to add you. Oh, you're saying like, what are the entailments of this? If there's no contradiction, kind of like you're kind of trying to put out feelers of like, okay, this kind of seems like there's no contradiction, but what if I sign off on it? What am I in for? Is that what you're asking me?
Exactly.
Okay, I have an answer for that, Price. Nothing happens.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that Christianity is false. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that it's logically possible. And that's it. Does that logical possibility make you want to freak out? Because that's what it seems to be making all the other Christians want to freak out. Do you want to freak out right now?
No, I'm actually, it was fun. I appreciate you actually bringing this up because it kind of made me research some things in philosophy that were pretty cool. So no, I look at it as a challenge. I think it's cool, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish more Christians would see that there isn't really some kind of existential threat to their Christianity from this. And I'll be honest, really, when I thought of this and started asking some Christians, I just simply had an intuition that a lot of Christians would freak out. And, and a lot of them did, right?
Especially your pre-suppers. Yeah, the ones.
But I don't know if you watched the video with Matt Slick and I, but at the end of the video, he had written an article, which at the bottom, he says that there isn't, he says that it's possible for us to be a brain in a vat and the Christian God to be true, Christianity to be true. So he even said in his article, I don't know, maybe when I was talking to him, he was, I don't know, he felt like he some kind of panic, or I have no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all praise. I mean, I don't want to.
No, that was fun, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming and having a
Yeah,
discussion, man.
thanks a lot. I appreciate letting me come on and talk because we didn't get a chance to the other day. But I'll let you guys
Yeah.
get back to it. Thanks a lot.
Well, take care, man. Have a good one.
All right. Merry Christmas. Bye bye.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, that was fun getting into philosophy. I love talking to Tom. He's a sharp one. You got to be sharp with Tom. You got to be on your feet with him and other atheists that are as part of the Tom Rabbittt crew. Like, you have to be ready to rock and roll, and I think that's what I appreciate about him. So it was a good talk, and I do agree with him. The entailment, it's just that there is no contradiction. I mean, it can be possible that we are in a vat or a, whatever. What is it? The Matrix and the God be true at the same time, which I agree. So that's all. I mean, that's all we got out of it. But if